Hello, hello. Welcome back. We are going to continue reading Faust. Do I know where we are? No. I remember reading on this previous page. This one was the one with like Plutus and the Herald and the freaking like the deputation of gnomes to the Great Pan. Like it was this whole thing that I have no idea what it was intended to be. I don't know what it was trying to get at. And I was just confused. But now we're currently on scene 4. If I look back here, oh, not there. If I looked back in volume 7, we are currently here. And that means that we have scene 4, 5, 6, 7, act 2, and then a sneeze, apparently. And then classical Walpurgis Night, which is what? 5 more scenes? So we have 11 scenes. Sounds like that's going to be 2 streams. But then it's also continued in volume 8 where I don't like this is another series of scenes. So I didn't realize this was 3 acts. I don't like part 2 of Faust is 3 acts. So I don't know what the deal here is. But either way, I'm probably going to get through act 1, maybe even get through act 2. Then I can get through Walpurgis Night next stream, maybe into act 4. And then from there, wrap it up. Because I'm not trying to do like 5 more streams of this. I think that we wrap it up in like 2, maybe 3, depending on how fast these scenes are. 'Cause some of these are like 100 words, like soaking wet, you know? So it could be a situation where we don't have that much left. But I won't know until I check. So, scene 4. Pleasure Garden, morning sun. The emperor, his court, male and female. Faust, Mephistopheles, dressed quietly and becomingly in the prevailing fashion, both kneel. Dost thou forgive our trick, sir, with the fire? Such jests, and many too I much desire. Sudden I found me in a sphere of flame. Pluto himself, methought, I then became. Girt by thick night a cavern round me lay, red hot with fire, from many a chasm and bay, wind-whirling flames by myriad ascended, and in an arching vault their flashing blended. Up to the topmost dome they rose and crossed, forever kindling and forever lost. Far, far along, midst columns all aglow, I saw lines of people moving slow. In a wide circle round me then they drew, and made obeisance, as they always do. Some of my court I spied with the ring, and seemed of 1,000 salamanders king. And so you are, for every element, to own your sovereignty is well content. Fire thou hast proved obedient, in the sea plunge where its billows wildest, maddest be, and scarcely shalt thou tread the pearl-strewn floor, ere springs a stately dome to arch it o'er. Waves of pale green, with purple edged, shall there sway up and down to rear a mansion fair, round thee the central point. A palace home attends on thee wherever thou dost roam. The very walls are all alive and flow with swiftness as of arrows to and fro. Up to strange soft sheen see wonders throng. They dare not enter in, but shoot along. Bright gold-scaled dragons round thee spot and swim. Gapes the grim shark, and thou canst laugh at him. Don't laugh at a shark. Sharks are cuties. Gay as thy present court be, and bright, no throng this has ever met thy sight. Yet art thou not cut off from beauty there, to that superb abode, so fresh, so fair? The Nereids, peering curiously, draw night. The young ones, amorous as fish, and shy. The old ones, sage. Soon Thetis learns thy haunts, and hand and lip to her Peleus grants. Anon thy seat on a high Olympus crest. Those airy regions, you may let them rest. Quite soon enough, one has to mount that throne, and earth, my liege, already is thine own. What lucky chance has brought thee hither straight from the Arabian Nights? If thou canst mate with... That's just letters. Like, wait, I need to make this bigger so you can... That's just letters. Scheherazade. If thou canst mate with Scheherazade in inventive skill, take this, the highest proof of my goodwill. Be still at hand, when worries of the day pain and dispirit me, as of they may. Is it time for some bargaining? We already did some bargaining. Right now we're busy losing the plot. I have no idea what's happening. Like, I understand that Faust and Mephistopheles have approached the emperor, because apparently there's an emperor, I assume the Holy Roman Emperor, because this is German? But like, I don't know. Your Highness, never did I think to live, tidings of such supreme good luck to give, as these, which to thy presence thus, send me in transports rapturous. Every outstanding bill is squared, the usurer's ruthless claws are pared, I from the pangs of hell am free, in heaven things could not brighter be. Arrears paid off to the last so, the armies all sworn in of new, the trooper feels his blood aflame, and wench and tapster make their game. How is't you breathe so freely now? Furrows no longer seam your brow. What makes you here so swiftly run? Ask those, sir, who the work has done. 'Tis me, the Chancellor, the facts should state. In my old days, my happiness how great. Hear then, and see this fateful scroll, for this has turned our woe and wailing into bliss. Be it to all whom it concerneth known, this note is worth 1,000 crowns alone, and for a guarantee the wealth untold, throughout the empire buried it doth hold. Means are afoot this treasure bare to lay, and out of it the guarantee to pay. Don't worry, this is my first members only stream, I'm just here for the vibes. We'll try to stay quiet to not disrupt you. No, you're feel free to chat as much as you want. It's really just a matter of the primary thing is here is reading. With members chat, there usually isn't too many people, so it's pretty chill, it's pretty vibes, and that's why a lot of people will just like put this on in the background when it goes public. So feel free to chat as much as you want. The brief summary of this is Faust is a super amazing doctor, and then he summons Mephistopheles on accident, wants to make a deal. Mephistopheles says no, comes back later, makes a deal with him, gives him a potion. He is now like eternally young, but also fell in love with the first woman he met, drove a woman to sin. The woman got killed. Met Faust. Then, because the woman he was like basically charmed to fall in love with died, got depressed, and now he's wandering with Mephistopheles. Faust's whole deal is while he's alive, Mephistopheles will serve him, but once he's dead, he will serve Mephistopheles. Crime I surmise, some monstrous fraud. Oh, shame! Who dared to counterfeit the emperor's name? Has he been brought to punishment condign? Reflect that note, sir, thou thyself didst sign only last night. Thou didst as pen appear, the chancellor said to thee, we standing near, a few strokes of thy pen, and so thou seal this revel's crowning joy, the people's weal. These strokes thou madest, which were ere morning tide, by 1,000 hands and thousands multiplied, that all alike the benefit may reap. We stamped the whole impression in a heap, 10s, 30s, 50s, hundreds off they flew. You can't conceive the good they were to do. Look at your town. 'Twas mouldering and half dead, now all alive, and full of lust ahead. High as thy name stood with the world, somehow 'twas never looked so kindly on as now. The lists of applicants fill to excess, this script is rushed at as a thing to bless. Okay, so the really weird chapter, the scene that we had prior, was the emperor holding court, and a bunch of mythological figures showing up. But the mythological figures were like actors. And the emperor was convinced by Mephistopheles to tell people there's buried treasure. Hey, Accoid. Also, I don't know if I said hey, B. My people take it good gold, you say. In court, in camp, it passes for full pay. Strange, strange. Yet I must let the matter drop. To we're hopeless now, the flying leaves to stop. With lightning speed they spread throughout the land. The money changers' doors wide open stand. They cash the notes with silver and with gold. And even allow a premium, I am told. Thence they reach vendors of meat, bread, and drinks. One half the world of feasting only thinks. While in its brand new clothes the other struts. Briskly the tailor sews, the mercer cuts. Toasting thy health in taverns never baits. And all is roast and boils and clattering plates. Who on the terraced walks alone shalt stray, drops on some fair one, clad in rich array. Who from behind, proud peacock fan with smile, on him, with eye on those same notes that while, which quickly with love's crowning favors gain, whilst wit and eloquence may plead in vain. Men won't be teased with purse or scrip, when they can in their bosom slip a note away, to mate their snugly with billet doux. Priests lodge themselves in their breviaries too. Soldiers, to move them freely, turn their coin to notes, and of the waist belt ease their loins. Pardon, your majesty, if what I state from this great work seems to derogate. The superflux of wealth that, heap on heap, all over thy realm and earth lies buried deep, is practically lost. So, though, can Thought cannot cast a limit wide enough for wealth so vast, and fancy in her wildest flight may strain to picture it, yet find the effort vain. But spirits meet enigmas dark to face, dare on the boundless faith to place. So this is less like telling people there's buried treasure, more so like shifting to a paper currency is what this was. So this was Mephistopheles, the devil, or a representative of Satan, convincing an emperor to swap to paper currency. I wonder what Goethe's opinion on the gold standard was. Paper like this instead of pearls and gold is handy, for we know them when what we hold. No need to change or chaffer. Men at will in love may revel, drink of wine their fill. If coin they lack, the changer's prompt with it, and when coin fails, you've but to dig a bit. Chalice and chain to auction must be bought, but this good paper, cast upon the spot, puts skeptics who dared scoff at us to shame. People, once used to it, naught else will name. So henceforth, with all the imperial regions abound, with jewels, gold, and paper's cash abound. This mighty boom our empire owes to you. Great is the service, be the guerdon too. Our kingdom's nether soil, be that your care. Who may so well protect the treasures there? That vast well-tended hoard you understand, and if men dig, 'tis you must give command. Now, masters of our treasury embrace, wear and with pride the honors of your place, where, linked in happy union, all shall know, the world above blends with the world below. Twixt us no strife, however slight shall stir, I, for a colleague, love your sorcerer. As I dispense my gifts among you now, let each the use he'll put them to a vow. I am for sports and mirth and junketing. And junketings? What's a junketing? Junketing sounds like a word I'm not allowed to say. Not like a specific one, but just like it has the vibes of something I shouldn't be saying on YouTube. I am for sports and mirth and junketings. Straight away, I'll buy my sweetheart chains and rings. Oh, like necklaces. I was like, you're chaining up your sweetheart? I mean, like, go off, but probably shouldn't tell your emperor that. Lord of the bedchamber, my cellar with the choicest wine I'll stock. The dice already rattle in my pocket. I'll free my castle and my grounds from debt. That's so real. That's so, like, hey guys, it's end of year bonuses. I'm gonna give you a bunch of cash. What are you gonna spend it on? I'm gonna free myself of debt. Arrow knows the forbidden words. Arrow is the forbidden words. Listen, I already made a tweet the other day where I was watching a stream and streamers were playing Yap Yap, which is like one of those voice activated games. And apparently one of the spells you can cast is Arrow. So I'm listening to a stream, I have it on in the background, and I just hear, Arrow. And Arrow. Arrow. And like, it's a sleeper agent. I was just like caught in this loop of every time I heard my name, I thought they were talking to me. And I'm like, why does this like very popular streamer who I've never spoken with know my name? I'm not in their chat. And it was very funny to me. Aside with other treasures, this I'll set. I hoped for joy, brave hearts, fresh enterprise, but knowing you, one might your course surmise. Full well I note, however your coffers fill, what you may have been, you will continue still. Your scattering favors, give me some, I pray. Alive again, you'll drink them away. These magic leaves, I cannot make them out. Quite so, you'll make bad use of them, no doubt. There are others drops, what sir am I to do? Just pick them up. They're what were meant for you. 5,000 crowns and all for me. How then? Thou paunch upon two legs, got up again. Not the first time, but never such luck I met. So great your joy, it puts you in a sweat. Look here, and is this money's worth? Yes, knave, you'll get it for what throat and belly crave. Can I buy farm, house, cattle then with this? Of course, just bid, 'twill never come amiss. What, castle, forest chase, and fish stream? Good! I'd like to see you a great lord, I would. This night I'll sleep with my own domain. Who still can doubt our fools doth bear a brain? Mephistopheles is so silly. He's so catty. He's so sarcastic. I kind of love him. Arrogating the biblical prophet treatment. Samuel, that is. No! I haven't cut my hair in years. I actually need to get a haircut. Like, I have a bunch of split ends. I need to cut my hair. But, like, I haven't cut my hair, so I should still have my Samuel powers. Why drag me to this gloomy corridor? Within there is not enough of sport, for jest and trick not ample score, and more among the motley butterflies of court. Tush, tush! Time was when you were cap in hand, ready to come and go at my command, but now your only aim, I see, is how to break your faith with me. To act, however, I am pressed. Marshal and Chamberlain won't let me rest. The Emperor wants, and that with haste, Paris and Helena before him placed. These paragons of man and woman he has set his mind just as they live to see. Quick, to the task! My word I dare not break. Such promise you were worse than mad to make. You have forgotten, mate, to what you clever sleights conduct us, and have made him rich, and after that we must amuse him a tout prix. No sooner said, you think, than done. This task is a much harder one than ever we ventured on before. You would pierce to a region of wonders vast, and recklessly run up a further score of debts you'll be forced to pay off at last. You think 'tis as easy a task for me to conjure up Helena at my will as it was the imperial treasury with flimsy, fairy banknotes to fill. Witches, imps, goitered dwarfs, and sprites I can turn to all uses and place in all plights. But, though not to be sneezed at, our ladies below as heroines never will do to show. The same old song, the same old introduction, there's nothing but uncertainties with you. You are all the sire of all sorts of obstruction, and must at every turn be bribed anew. You grumble, still you'll do it, I know well, and fetch them here, ere we 10 words can say. Those heathen gentry are not in my way. They live within their own peculiar hell, and yet there is a way. On with your tale. I'm loath the higher mysteries to unveil. There are goddesses, beings of might supernal, that sit alone, each on a throne, in the solitudes eternal. Round them space is not, and time still less. To speak of them even embarrasses. These are the mothers. Dun dun dun. The mothers. Dun dun dun. Afeared. Dun dun dun. The mothers. The mothers. That sounds so weird. That does sound weird. Are you afeared? Samuel was the one who thought his priest boss was calling him, but it was actually the tabernacle. Ah, understood. And weird it is, divinities to you, mortals unknown, we're loath to name them too. Through death unplumbed, you may have their haunts invade. 'Tis all your fault that we require their aid. And whither lies the road? Road there is none, to what has been, and must untrodden still be. There is no road to what was never won, by mortal prayer or vow, nor ever will be. Art ready? Neither bolt nor bar is there, to hinder thy advance, but everywhere. Shalt thou be drifted by the empty air? Canst thou conceive, and fully comprehend, a void and isolation without end? Such speeches 'tis idle of me to try. They're one of the witches, kitchen kind, and smack of a time that is long gone by. Was I not doomed to mingle with mankind? To learn and teach that all they possess is mere vacuity and emptiness? By reason schooled, if, as I saw I spoke, strife and denial round me roared and broke. Turn where I might, still baffled, thwarted, I to wilds and solitudes was forced to fly. Still, at my very loneliest aghast, I gave myself up to the devil at last. And with oceans if thou wert contending, and round thee heaven a limitless expanse, yet there, though death were in each wave impending, thou'lt see before thee wave on and wave advance. There's something thou should see. See dolphins leap o'er the green hollows of the glassy deep. See clouds sweep on, and sun and moon and star. But nothing shalt thou see in the great void afar. Thou shalt not hear thy very footfall pace, nor light on one substantial resting place. The best of mystagogues your rival quite, that error-deluded trustful neophyte, but you reverse the rule, dismissing me, to gain both strength and skill from blank vacuity. You use me like the cat, to scratch you the chestnuts from the coals. Well, go to! We'll probe this business, and I hope I shall in what you say is not discover all. Before we part, your courage I commend. The devil, I see, you fully comprehend. Here, take this key. This tiny bauble? No. Take hold of it, before you slight it so. It grows within my hand, it flames, it lightens. Mark it but well, you'll find its virtue brightens. This key will how you shape the course instruct you. Follow it, and to the mothers till conduct you. Bum, bum, bum! Again, that word, it strikes me like a blow. What is there in that word to thrill me so? Oh, you're thrilled by the mothers. Well, Freud was also German, right? Art thou a pedant, at new words to scare? Familiar phrases only thou can bear? Nothing, however weird or strange, should make one so long used to mightiest marvels quake. I covet not an adamantine heart, this shuddering awe in man's divinest part. However the word must dull our feelings. Still at what is vast and mystical we thrill. Sink then, I might as well say, mount. 'Tis quite the same. From all that is take flight into the void and viewless infinite of visionary dreams, and revel so midst phantoms of the ages long ago. Like clouds they flit, and waver. In thy hand swing high the key, thy body must not touch it. 'Tis well, I feel new strength, and thus I clutch it, and for the mighty task my breast expand. A flaming tripod shall proclaim thou hast into the nethermost abysses passed. Its gleam, the mother, dun dun dun, unto thee will show. Some sit, some stand, some wander to and fro, each as it haps, strange shapes of every kind, the eternal pastime of the eternal mind. Circle them round with every form or being, thee thy behold not, phantasms only seeing. See that thou quail not, for the peril's great, but to the tripod go thou forward straight, and touch it with the key. Faust assumes a resolute and commanding attitude with key. Aye, that will do. It will attend thee like a servant true, and with it thou, if fortunate, shalt rise to earth again, aye, fast as fancy flies. And, it once here, thou mayst, by its might, evoke those famed heroes' forms from night, the foremost who has e'er achieved such feat, and when it is done, and thy task complete, forthwith, by sleights of magic, timely suited, the incense smoke to gods will be transmuted. And now what else? Thy spirit downward bend, sink with a stamp, and stamping reascend. Faust stamps and sinks into the ground. Now, if the key its power with him should lack, I'm curious to see if he comes back. You're such a goober. I do appreciate how, even though I've kind of lost the plot on some of these, even though I've kind of lost the plot on a couple of these scenes, I do appreciate how the core of this story is just, it's just a buddy cop. Like it's a buddy cop, like getting up to shenanigans, Faust and Mephistopheles doing shenanigans, running off and getting into nonsense, Faust starting trouble, needing Mephistopheles to bail him out, and Mephistopheles needing to be convinced to help him, and then them going off to like talk to the biblical Lilith, or going off to like a random tavern and like getting a bunch of people drunk, and just like, or inventing paper currency, just running around and like just doing random nonsense. And that's been the entire story thus far. And I understand that it's supposed to be like this deconstruction of the like temptation of sin and like how you slip from grace and how even the best of us can become the worst of us. But at the same time, it's also really just kind of meandering, and it wasn't what I was expecting at all. I was not expecting this to be the wondrous misadventures of Faust and Mephistopheles. Which I don't think is a bad thing, it's just different. You still are owing us to phantom play. The Emperor grows impatient. Quick, I pray. He asked about it not an hour ago. You must not keep his majesty waiting so. My comrade is upon this business gone. He knows the way to set about it. This very moment, never doubt it. He's hard at work to push it on, shut in his room from vulgar gaze, no ordinary sleights he tries, for he that would such peerless beauty raise, must use the highest art, the magic of the wise. What arts he uses we don't care a pin, sir, the Emperor wants you to begin. One word, sir, my complexion now is clear, but in the tiresome summer, 'tis not so. 100 freckles then from ear to ear, quite horrid, tawny things begin to show. A remedy! That's such a blonde, 'tis hard, should every May be spotted like the pard, take spawn of frogs and tongues of toad new killed, at the moon's fullest craftily distilled, this lotion when she wanes apply, the spring may come, you'll find the spots have taken wing. It's kind of funny, because I feel like, at least in the modern day, freckles are considered attractive, or I suppose freckles are considered attractive insofar as they are in moderation. Like, I get freckles occasionally, and particularly since moving to California, I've gotten some more. But I'm not like super freckled or anything. I feel as though a light amount of freckles is considered attractive in the modern day. So to hear them like written off as unattractive or like something to be remedied is kind of odd to me. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Olympus, welcome back. I was not expecting the tragic Faustian bargain tale to be so tropey. I mean, that's the thing. Any sufficiently popular older work is gonna be super tropey because people took inspiration from it to make the tropes, right? And the devil deal of Mephistopheles and Faust is cliche. I would say that is fully a cliche. If you have a devil deal in your story, that's kind of cliche at this point. But that's kind of because this originated that. So much in the same way where I couldn't really fault a couple of things with Chambers, with the King in Yellow. I can't really fault this for a lot of like the tropes that I see, because I understand that a lot of these tropes weren't tropes at that point. Some were, like, obviously this is off the back of not just classical literature, but also other German literature in the past 100 years prior, not to mention the past 1500 years. You no longer have a girlfriend, you no longer have a boyfriend, you have a girlfriend now. Let me guess. Are you still dating the same person? It's always funny when that happens, where it's just like, hey, just want to let you know, I no longer have a boyfriend. I have a girlfriend. And they're like, oh, did you and that person like break up? And you're like, no, we're still together. Oh, got it. Yes, okay. Well, I'm happy for you too. But no, it's always funny when you read older literature and it ends up being super tropey. That's why I'm actually like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, I'm really enjoying these streams where I get to just read chapters, and which is why I kind of want to shift to, instead of having a dedicated once per week stream, I just have it be Fridays will be still a member stream, but it'll be like a productivity stream. It will be, I'll work on a TTRPG, or I'll work on like a coding, or I'll work on like writing, and it'll just kind of be like body double. You can chat if you want, but you can just have productive vibes. And then I read a chapter every stream. Like, I start every Wednesday stream and every Saturday stream with a chapter or two. Error, this is the fifth time. This is the fifth. Wait, with the same person or with different people? Because if it's the same person, they're just gender fluid. However, if it's multiple people, that's just like interesting luck, right? Which I've talked about this before. I do think it is funny how back when I was male identifying, back before I started identifying as non-binary, I had a friend who had a crush on me, and they like confessed their feelings to me, and I did not reciprocate. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. But they identified as a lesbian, and they're like, it's so weird that like you're the first guy I've ever had a crush on. And I'm just like, well, I guess I'm just built different. And it turned out that I was built different. And a couple years later, I wasn't really talking to this person that much, but I'm like in occasional contact with them. So a couple years later, I reached out to them. I was like, hey, remember that time you had a crush on me and you thought it was really weird because you're a lesbian? Turns out you weren't that weird, which I just found very silly. Different people. Listen, we call you the cook the way you be cracking these eggs. Your in request. Here's quite a mob advancing. Oh, sir, a remedy. A frostbit foot prevents me from both walking and from dancing. I can't even curtsy gracefully to boot. Allow me, child, to press you with my foot. That's very well twixt lovers in their sports. A frostbit foot prevents me from walking and dancing. Let me press you with my foot. So I assume he's gonna like kick her. That's very well twixt lovers in their sports. Is this a foot fetish joke? Is this a joke about a foot fetish? like hey, like, to solve your foot, I need to press you with my foot. Like, I need to like stomp on you. I need to kick you, whatever. And then she's like, that's very well between lovers and their sports. What is the sport of lovers? Yeah, 5 out of 5 times you've been with someone. Hey, if it works. A deal more vast for me imports, like draw to like as web combines with woof. Thus foot heals foot, limb, come close,er in mind. You need not think of answering in kind. Oh, it burns. 'Twas like a horse's hoof it stamped so hard. Because he's horse hoof footed, and he's hiding that because I see what you're doing here. You of my cure have proof. Now you may dance as much as e'er you please, and your swain's foot beneath the table squeeze. Make way for me! Too heavy are my woes. In my inmost heart is racked by maddening throes. He lived, but in my looks till yesterday. Now he woos her and turns from me away. 'Tis very sad, but I will set you right. Up to his side you must contrive to seal. This charcoal take and draw it as you may, across his sleeves, cloak, shoulder, and the white shall sweet remorse within his bosom feel. then swallow off the charcoal, but no sips of water or wine must cross your lips, and at your door he sighs this very night. Is it not poison? Honor where 'tis due, for such charcoal you must go many mile. 'Twas gathered from a certain funeral pile, of which we raked the ashes through and through. I'm mad in love, they say, I'm not full grown. This sort of thing, how am I to endure? The very young ones you must let alone. You'll find admirers among the more mature. Still others coming, here's a fine to do. I must resort to truth to help me through the worst of helps, but no escape I see. Oh mothers, mothers, dun dun dun! Set but Faust is free. Already they are lighting up the hall. The whole court is upon the move, and all the motley stream in graceful order pours through far arcades and lengthened corridors. Now to the old baronial hall they throng. Scarce holds them all, wide though it be and long. Its spacious walls are hung with tapestries rich, and armor old on bracket and in niche. But no need of magic here, or spell I wise. Ghosts of themselves must haunt a place like this. So, I expected we would follow Faust as he was going to go talk to the mothers. I guess we're following Mephistopheles. I guess in the titular piece of Faust, Faust is no longer the main character, which I ain't gonna lie, I like Mephistopheles more than Faust. I am not upset by the fact we're following Mephistopheles more, but I do find it funny. Oh, wanna know probably is? It's probably when we get to the classical Walpurgis Night, this is probably when we follow Faust, is my guess. Yes, like we're right here, we can get these three pretty easy. No, so it's not Mephisto. Mephisto is the guy from Marvel, who I also like, because in case you didn't know, I really like devils. I think they're cool. And like to the point where when I was running devils in my high school game with my friends, one of my friends teased me because he was like, haha, you're so like weirdly obsessed with devils. And I'm like, I like running devil deals. What do you want from me? I think they're cool. Because I like the idea of a threat that is more than physical. A threat that is too... Like you have to think your way through a devil deal if you're going to do so whatsoever. And a lot of people will see a devil deal and be like, no, I'm just not going to do it on principle. But that's when you can make them a really compelling offer. And the devil can like acknowledge it, the biases against it and be like, you know what? I'm not even going to ask for your soul. I get that that's something you don't want to do. However, what if I do something else? Yeah, Mephistopheles is one heck of a charmer. Or suppose, like you said, he really is one hell of a charmer. I'm not sorry. A little arrow. Shut up. I am the arrow. My old vocation to announce the play is by strange ghostly influence much perplexed. I can't pretend to make things out or say, in such raveled business, what comes next. There stands the couches ready, chairs and all, the emperor seated right before the wall. Upon the tapestry he can behold, at ease the flights of the great times of old. Round him, our lords and gentlefolks recline. Lords and gentlefolks. Not gentlemen. Gentlefolks. I feel like if I said gentlefolks in the modern day, I would be like accused of like being woke. Apparently gentlefolks was a thing. Apparently, at the very least in this translation, which as far as I'm aware was like pre-1930, which is why I'm reading it. Gentlefolks was a thing. I can't say I was expecting that. Arrow is just what those that don't understand arrow speaks here. See, that's the thing. I have my own idiosyncrasies. And if you don't understand such idiosyncrasies, you just hear me go, arrow. Like a Pokemon. Arrow. Arrow thing. Listen, arrow writes, Arrowmons. Poke Arrow or Arrowmon? I feel like Arrowmon is much, like, rolls off the tongue much better. So would I go like, arrow, or would I go, arrow. Arrow synchron... No. I don't know where I left off. Right, gentlefolks. While common benches throng the space behind, the lover too, though ghosts are hovering near, has found a pleasant seat behind his dear. And so, as all are comfortably placed, the phantoms may appear with all convenient haste. Now to begin the business of the play. Our liege lord so commands, ye walls give way. The spell and magic work to our desire. The tapestry fades as 'twere devoured by fire. The walls divide, and, as they backwards bend, a stage and amphitheater disclose, where we shall be regaled with mystic shows, and I, the proscenium ascend. Poking arrow sounds dirty. Oh, I didn't say poking arrow, I said pokey arrow. Like poke arrow. If arrow was Irish, it would be arrowting. Oh my gosh. I could be the Drift Monarch. I could dethrone Daniel RT Game if I was Irish. But since I'm not, I can't, legally. My skill I trust I'll hear will duly prize, the devil's rhetoric all in prompting lies. Thou, who the courses of the stars canst tell, my whispers will interpret passing well. By magic sleight, behold before your eyes, in massive bulk, an ancient temple rise. Like Atlas, who erstwhile the heavens upbore, stand pillars ranged in rows, a goodly store. Lightly they hold the rocky load in air, 2 shafts like these a structure vast could bear. That's your antique, I don't admire the style, 'tis a great, clumsy, overweighted pile. The rude's called noble, and the unwieldy grand. Give me small shafts that far in air expand. The pointed style exalts the soul, and not with such instructive influences fraught. The hours the stars concede accept with awe, be reason chained by the magician's saw. But keep your fancy wings unfettered still, to roam with noble daring where it will. Look with your eyes at what you long to see, it is impossible and cannot be, and therefore merits your credulity. In priestly robes and wreathed the wondrous man, who now completes what boldly he began, a tripod rises with him from the ground. I scent the incense shed its fumes around. See, he prepares the noble work to bless, and for our pageants here ensure success. In the name, mothers, bum bum bum, yours who have your throne in the infinite and evermore alone, yet in communion dwell. The forms of life float around you, lifeless, yet with motion rife. What once has been in seeming as of yore, flits there, for 'twill exist evermore. And ye portion them, ye powers of might, twixt the day's canopy and the vault of night. Some upon life's glad stream are borne away, while others bend to the bold wizard's sway. Who doth to you with hand profuse unfold what marvels each is yearning to behold? Legally, you cannot take Tatter throne, but you can try and take the California throne. I don't want the California throne. Prinby. So I have a friend. So one of my streamer friends, Celerity Dust, is non-binary, and they like Prinks or Prinks, Prinx. I think Prince is fine. When it comes to gendered language, generally, like if there's not an easy way to just like add something to the end of it, if there's not an easy suffix to just make it non-gendered, I generally just go with the masculine or the feminine, depending on what the vibes are. For instance, I don't think I have princess material. I could be a prince. I could rock being a prince. However, I don't think I could be a princess. And at the end of the day, that's not really a gendered thing. At least it doesn't have to be. Like Rin Penrose, another popular VTuber who, as far as I'm aware, cis woman, self-identified, comfortable with that, but is a prince, right? Like, and is comfortable with that, right? So there's nothing wrong with like having a male princess or a female prince. But Markiplier's hard to beat, and I'm sorry you cannot take New York. Wait, Markiplier's based in New York? What? See, that's the thing. I don't think I could take New York because, like, I'm not from New York. I'm from near New York. And I feel as though one of the only things New Yorkers hate more than someone who's like a tourist who doesn't know what they're doing and starts claiming like, oh, I heart NY, like I'm such a I'm such a New Yorker, is someone who isn't from New York, who says they are from New York. Like, I don't claim to be from New York. I claim to be from New York, from nearby New York. And wow, I don't know if you could hear my accent, Like my accent just got like necromantically resurrected as soon as I started talking about New York. Arrow's dirty Jersey. You have this like crackpot theory that I'm from South Jersey just because I brought up the Jersey Devil being from the Pine Barrens. I think Rin Penrose being Prince is a reference to the manga trope where the athletic woman is worshipped by the girls. Oh, wait, is that a trope? I thought that was just a thing in a specific slice of life romance manga I was reading. Like, because there's a running joke where one of the characters is like thirsted over by multiple other women, and they're all college age. But like most these other women like call him Prince or call them Prince and like are obsessed with them and like have like are basically like a fan club. Slat has New York. Oh, Marcus, California. Slat has New York. Understood. Arrow totally be the princess who eats the dragon. I feel, if anything, I don't think I'm princess coded. However, if I was like a prince, whisked away in a castle or a tower by a dragon, I feel my situation would be one where I'm either friends with the dragon, and the dragon is like, you know, the trope of the dragon and the princess are friends, and the dragon is basically just trying to like vet anyone that wants to marry the princess. I could rock that. Depending on what sort of stylization of lore and setting we're in, it could be that my partner is the dragon. Because like, hey, at that point, what else am I gonna do? It could be that the dragon is just metaphorical. Illusory. It is the seeping of the subconscious into reality. Small petite men are princess in manga. Yes, my fanon from Aaron Jersey shall not be assuaged. It's also a thing that comes from Utena, where she wanted to be a prince so badly that she became one. Arrow's Calling on Dragons, the young adult series of novels. I don't know. I'm sorry, that was not me. Scarce on the dish, the golden key he lays. When the air thickens to a dusky haze, it coils and curls, now spreads like clouds. About, contracts, expands, divides, shifts in and out. Phantoms of power, be sure, are stirring there. Hark, as they move, what music in the air! With a weird chime, the tones arrow thrill. From every cloud, soft melodies distill. Each pillared shaft, the very triglyph rings. Yeah, I could swear that all the temple sings. The mists subside, and from the flimsy air comes graceful forth, a youth surpassing fair. Mute let me be. What need his name to show? Paris the fair, who could fail to know? What youthful fire, what bloom upon his brow? As fresh and juicy as a peach, I vow, that finely chiseled, sweetly pouting lip. At such a chalice you were fain to sip. Handsome, no doubt, but not a noble face. He's well enough, but sadly wanting grace. The shepherd boy and nothing more, 'tis plain. Of prince and courtly breeding, not a grain. The lad's half naked, still he has his charms. To judge, though, we must see him clad in arms. He sits down with such gentle grace, were not his breast a dainty resting place? He bends his arm so prettily over his head. Wait, did the Emperor just want... Does the Emperor just want a bisexual harem? Because I'm assuming this is Paris and Helena from Troy. I'm assuming this is the Trojan Paris and the Achaean Spartan Helen, who was whisked off to Troy. Oh no. I mean, a bisexual harem is the best kind. I don't know. I feel weird about the idea of a harem. Because that a harem implies a power dynamic now. Because if one person has multiple people they're dating, it's not a harem. However, if one person has power over a bunch of people and also is dating or like having relations with them, that is a harem. Who wouldn't want a bisexual harem as an emperor? I wouldn't. Like, maybe, depending on circumstances, I would be open to the idea of having, like, multiple partners, I guess. But, like, I feel like a harem is so sussy. Because, like, you can't... That's a power dynamic that is not okay. To be fair, an emperor also has an implied power dynamic. That's what I'm saying is, like, yes, like an emperor and their spouse, for instance, is still a power dynamic because one of them ultimately is the ultimate authority. But at the same time, that's like a marriage thing. And so you have greater, not just trust, but also you have the established relationship, and also the like emperor consort oftentimes has a great deal of authority as well. So there is still a power dynamic, as there always will be, but that doesn't make it like inherently wrong. However, with a harem, my understanding is like a sultanate harem, for instance, is completely one person has all of the power, one person has no of the power. So if you don't want to do something, you can't say no. And that's not very okay. Harems are incredibly flawed. Like, see, that's the thing. Like, I understand like the isekai fantasy of like, oh, I'm gonna get isekai and have like a monster girl harem or whatever. The dragon is Eros Forbidden Planet ID monster. I don't know what that means. Exactly, I'm psychically projecting a dragon. That would be cool. What if I psychically projected a dragon and the dragon was also my friend and we got to play D&D? Is that sad or is that fun? I think that's fun and cool, but also a little sad. A consensual harem is Yeah, it kind of is. A consensual harem is polygamy. And then a consensual harem where the others are allowed to also date others, not just you, would be polyamory. Right? Or is polygamy specifically multiple wives? An heir must be prepared for the continuation of the Arrow Pirate. I'm forming an heir now? Do I have to like create them out of clay and breathe life into them like a deity, or is this like we're doing this old school? The id monster is like powered by the Jungian shadow. What if my shadow was a dragon? Have you ever thought about what your shadow would be? Like, not necessarily by persona rules, but just like you encounter your darker self, the part of yourself that you don't want to reveal, what your psychology looks like when you're trying to like stay on the straight and narrow. I am curious what my shadow would be like and if I would be able to get along with it, because everyone, like psychologically speaking, has aspects of themselves they don't want to acknowledge and or recognize are unacceptable in society, so they hide that. However, like, not everyone wants to like steal candy from puppies and kick babies. So some people are just like, man, I'm a boy and I really like wearing dresses. That's gonna be like shoved real down there. Or like, I'm a woman who very much so likes being promiscuous, and that's not okay in society, so I'm gonna like push that down a lot. Like, neither of those things are bad. Promiscuity or wearing dresses are not bad actions by themselves. They can lead to bad actions, they can be involved in bad actions, but they are not themselves inherently bad. It's the shame and the societal pressures related to them that make them a shadow. So like, I wonder how many people have evil, awful, terrible impulses that they like fight to not engage in, and how many people are just like, man, I really want to like dress in drag. It's just society, man. You know? I think my shadow would be multiple versions of me split up, just like a horde of you. That sounds either horrifying or amazing. It all comes down to like, how well do you think you would get along with yourself? And personally, I feel as though I would unintentionally find myself annoying. I feel as though if I was in a room with myself, I would not be a jerk to myself, but I would find myself annoying, and therefore we would not get along, unfortunately. Like, I am of the opinion that like, hey, I like stay in your lane. If there's another version of me, I'm happy for them, and I hope they're happy for me. But ultimately, like, I'm not going to try and like steal some other like me's reality. But I feel as though ultimately, like, I would bother myself probably. I'd see all the things I don't like about myself in them and be like, oh, why can't you just be better? You're imagining Arrow Shadow as also NB, but in the opposite direction? What, so like androgynous but more masculine? Because, like, I consider myself fairly androgynous, but, like, somewhat femme-leaning. Like, I'm not a woman. I'm not a man. I'm just kind of in the middle. But I do express a bit more femininely, and that's partially to become androgynous. But also just because, like, I have certain feminine traits I like, just like I have certain masculine traits. A horde of arrows would overwhelm everyone with non-eldritch horror. Polygamy is the practice of having multiple spouses at the same time, yeah. Well, is polygamy, does it necessitate one way? So if I have like 4 wives, but each of my wives is also married to other people, would that still be polygamy? Or does it have to be like, I just have 4 wives and all of them are only married to me, but I'm married to all 4 of them? Because my understanding is polygamy is pretty exclusively like, you have one hinge, so to speak, and everyone else is only tied to that one person. Whereas polyamory tends to be more connected. That is a pyramid. Arrow's obviously androgynous, slight femme traits. Okay. I've been called a fae. I've been called a devil. I've been called an undead, a vampire, a lich. Like, what am I? Am I a fiendish undead archfey? Is that what this is? Am I an eldritch, old one? Am I just beyond human understanding? Maybe I am all but none of these things because these are descriptive labels assigned by humans and you are trying to put words to something that cannot be described. Unseal the archfey. Like an AFAB, but agender and masculining? Or maybe it was masking with masking. Fae, lich, devil, vampire. You got it. You solved it. Don't mind the tentacles. If I can get along with myself, which I believe I can, I'm roaming the streets like the Skull Gang from Pokemon Sun and Moon. Listen. If I had a horde of myself, like, what size of government do you think could withstand us? And I'm talking like a horde. I'm talking like in the hundreds of just me's. Like, at what point is it we could actually literally like destabilize a government? Maybe not like the US government, or maybe not like a state government, but like a small country, maybe a province, we could take over a town. No government. You are a writer sitting in your cabin looking out as the rain falls upon the lake. I do kind of rock looking out of my window as it rains. My issue is like, I'm one of those people where I love the idea of being secluded and just having my cabin where like I can live out my life, but I need internet. I don't like bugs, and I understand how inconvenient it is when everything is multiple hours away from you. So ultimately, like, I understand the fantasy of like the cabin in the woods or the cottage core or the farmhouse, but like, I don't think that's for me. Oh, no government would stop us. Wake up, Arrow. Arrow, wake up. It's been 3 years. The accident wasn't your fault. Man, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. That would explain a lot, but that would be crazy. Sad Arrow looking out the window at the rain, but secret smile, evil on the inside. Okay, I don't secretly smile evilly on the inside. I outwardly smile evilly, and then I hide it. But I'm still smiling on the outside. Arrow wakes, you must take control. I feel like that's an Alan Wake reference that I don't understand. Just a city and be born and raised in South Detroit. He sits down with such gentle grace. Were not his breast a dainty resting place? He bends his arm so prettily over his head. Oh, shocking, fie! Where was this fellow bred? I mean, I can think of a few locations where he might have been bred. You men always find out defective points. What, in the Emperor's presence, stretches joints? It's in the play. He thinks himself alone. Even in a play, good manners should be shown. Sweet youth, soft slumbers steal his senses o'er. 'Tis perfect. To the life is that a snore? What perfume is that? In the incense mingling? Right to the center of my heart goes tingling. A breath steals deep into your soul. Forsooth, it comes from him. It is the bloom of youth, a rare ambrosia, bred within the boy, which sheds around an atmosphere of joy. So, such she was, yet I am fancy-free. She's pretty, but not the style for me. Born and raised outside New York. You're telling me several gingers bred this man? Listen. You're telling me a ginger bred this man? Apartment complex? Really? I found it quite simple. God complex? Actually, it's quite simple. Arrow Wake will show you that champion of light, and Arrow Wake will show you the herald of darkness. This is getting onto like roar speak levels of just depravity and just lack of coherence. You're telling me a tempura fried the shrimp? No, you don't have shrimp fried tempura. Because like shrimp fried rice is a shrimp fried this rice. It's just shrimp tempura. It doesn't work. Unless I'm mistaken. My task is ended. Frankly, I avow what will I feel. My task is ended now. She comes, the ideal fair, and though a tongue of fire were mine, of yore her charms were snug. Who sees her, thenceforth is her slave confessed. Who should possess her were too highly blessed. Have I eyes still? Have I still eyes? I see in trance thought. Excuse you? Have I still eyes? I see in trance thought. Fair beauty's fountain welling like a sea. My voyage dread a glorious gain hath brought. How blank, how dreary was the world to me. And since my priesthood, what hath it become? Fleeting no more, nor void and worrisome. May palsy's blight ever my sense benumb. If ever I long for other love than thine, thou gracious form, for which of old I panted, which in the magic glass my soul enchanted, was but a phantom of thy charms divine. For thee, I would expend my whole pent passion's force, my energies of soul, the love, devotion, madness of my heart. Become, and don't forget your part. Tall, well proportioned, but her head's too small. Look at her foot, that's clumsiest of all. Princesses just like this I've seen and known. Methinks she's beautiful from top to toe. Now to the sleeper softly doth she glide. He young and pure, she hideous by his side. Her beauty seems to bathe his form in light. Endymion and Luna pictured quite. Yes, as from heaven she comes, the goddess pale o'er him she bends, his breathing to inhale. Oh happy boy, a kiss, oh bless untold. Before us all, 'tis really too bold. Oh, dreadful boon for one so young. Be still, let the fair phantom do whatever it will. She glides away on tiptoe, does he wake? She looks behind, I thought she would, the snake. He starts, he's lost in wonder and amaze. No wonder 'tis to her that fills her gaze. She turns to greet him with enchanting grace. She teaches him a lesson, what and how. All men are stupid dolts in such a case. He thinks, no doubt, she never loved till now. She's perfect, so majestic form and face, the wanton mix, her conduct's disgrace. I would give words to occupy his place. In such a coil, who'd not be netted fast? The jewel through so many hands has passed. 'Tis grown a trifle shabby in the setting. What wonder, after these 10 years of fretting? Each to his taste, but have it if I might. This lovely ruin would content me quite. I do kind of find it funny that all of the women are thirsting over Paris and all of the men are like, he's not that great. And then as soon as Helena comes out, all of the men are thirsting over her and all the women go, she's not that great. It was pretty silly. I am no girl boss and I will never gatekeep, so I shall gaslight. Understood. Like, listen, I already have established that I have practiced my gaslighting, and now I need to practice my gatekeeping, so one day I might become a girl boss. Arrow scolding the eldritch robotic monster standing in the doorway. Listen, if I'm to encounter an elder thing, and it's in my house, that's my property, I'm gonna tell it off. Now, I understand it might come from a place where Euclidean geometry and such and so forth realism and reality are simply playthings of the mortals that it is ascended beyond. However, it's not ascended beyond castle doctrine. It's not ascended beyond stand your ground. Like, this might be the most American thing I've said, but like, listen, if an eldritch, like, entity enters into my space, I'm going to treat it as the intruder it is. And that's going to start with a warning. And it tells me how to arrange my furniture in my divine Aerodorkalmanist rights castle doctrine shotgun blast. Castle doctrine shotgun blast. Imagine that was a spell. Imagine guns, but like anime. And I know that makes no sense. However, you know how like in Naruto or Dragon Ball Z or Bleach or like One Piece or My Hero Academia, they have like special moves, they say. What if every time you fire a weapon, you have to yell out some like special anime move that you have? See, I'm glad that as soon as I said it, you understood. I see her plainly, yet I don't feel clear that we have got the real Helen here. Our eyes are apt to carry us astray. To trust what is written in my way is my way. There, then, I read, that she enchanted all, Troy's greybeards as she stood upon the wall, and that is just, methinks, what here I see. I am not young, and she enchanteth me. A boy no more, he clasped with her abound. In vain she strives his ecstasy to school. With stalwart arm he lifts her from the ground, and now he bears her off. Audacious fool, thou darest? What? Not hear me? Hold, I say. It is you who make this phantom play. A word, one only. After this, we may... Nope, skipping by that. Do I then count for nothing here? This key... Do I not hold it in my hand? It was my guide throughout the wide ocean drear, of the dread solitudes to solid land. Here's firm footing, here realities, your spirit make with spirits cope at ease, and give the mighty phantom world command. And she who dwelt afar in grace divine, how can she ever be nearer to my hand? I'll rescue her, that is down my mind. The venture shall be made. Ye mothers! Dun dun dun! You must compass it. I charge ye, aid me. He who her unmatched perfection once is known must die, or win and wear it for his own. Hold, Faustus, hold. He clasps her in his arm, a clodly trouble gathers o'er her form. The key, he points it to the youth, and lo, he touches him. We're all undone. Whoa, whoa. Explosion. Good. Deserved. That's what you get for wanting to see that. I've been playing too many characters to speak without punctuation. Oh my gosh. Time to burn my taxes. Listen. Oh, taxes. Taxes. You've caught it now. With fools his lot to cast, the troubles bring the devil's self at last. Darkness. Tumult. A highly arched, narrow Gothic chamber, formerly Faust's, unaltered. Stepping up from behind a curtain, as he lifts it up and looks back, Faust is seen stretched out upon an old-fashioned bed. Did they just come out of bed together? I mean, like, hey. No judgment. I feel like even though Mephistopheles is serving Faust, he's still very conniving, trying to bring his downfall. So the deal they made was Mephistopheles will act as a servant to Faust until Faust dies, and then once Faust dies, he will act as a servant to Mephistopheles. And so Mephistopheles is like taking him out on like literally like magic broomstick rides and taking him out to like giant galas, got him a position as a sorcerer to the emperor, and is basically like doing all of the magic that Faust is claiming to be able to do, right? He's basically Faust's stand. Lie there, you poor wretch. Yours is a crisis will last you for a while, be sure. The man whom Helen paralyzes takes many a long day to cure. Wherever I look around, amid the glimmer, there's nothing changed the very least. The stained glass panes, methinks, are rather dimmer. The cobwebs around the room somewhat increased. The ink's dried up, the paper yellow. There stands everything just where it did. Ah, yes, all. There lies the very pen too, I declare. Faust the devil signed himself with all. And of his blood a very tiny droplet still lingers within the hollow of the quill, the very greatest of collector's might, in so unique a specimen delight. Ha! On the old hook too, the old furred cloak. Of the old time it minds me when, in joke, of solemn saws I gave the boy his fill, at which the youth perhaps is mumbling still. Warm, cozy robe, I feel as then, and long to get inside of you. Tell me that again. And play the teacher once again, as everyone thinks he's fit to do. How to accomplish it, to your scholars known. The devil lost this trick long, long ago. Takes out the furred pelisse, crickets, moths, and chafers fly out from it. We welcome thy coming, old patron and friend. With buzz and with humming, on thee we attend. Stingily, in silence, thou planted us here, escaping by thousands. Behold, we appear. The rogue in the bosom hides close in his hair. Our fur bed we gladly forsake for the air. 'Tis quite a treat to hear these young fried sheep. You let one but sow, in time he's sure to reap. Again I shake the old tag rag, and out the creatures fly and flitter all about. Up and away, in nooks on every side, my little darlings quickly hide. In yon old boxes, chests, and bins, here in these yellow parchment skins, in dusky pots, retorts, and bowls, in yonder skulls, grim eyelet holes. Enjoy yourselves, you surely must, among such maggots, dirt, and dust. Come, and once more my back array. I'm principal again today. But what avails to bear the name? Where are the people to admit my claim? Pulls the bell, which emits a shrill, penetrating sound, at which the halls shake and the doors open. What a clamor! What a quaking! Wails and staircase rocking, shaking. The lightning, how it flashes through the colored window sashes, from the ceiling, fast and faster. Rattles stucco, lath and plaster, and by wizard cantrip parted. From the doors the bolts have started. Yonder, horrors never will cease. A giant in Faust's old pelisse. He so stares and nods at me. I shall drop down presently. Shall I fly or shall I stay? I'm undone. Oh, well a day. Come hither, friend. Your name is Nicodemus. Most worthy sir, that is my name. Oramus. Some other time. You know me, it appears. Right, well, a student still, though up in years. Well, the learnest, my moss-grown friend. Can't choose but go on studying to the end. A card house, so he builds himself. So he builds him, small and neat, but not even greatest minds their house complete. Your master, though, he has indeed a name. Who has not heard of Dr. Wagner's fame? Wagner, the learned world's acknowledged head, which, but for him, indeed might go to bed. Daily from his news flashes burst of wisdom, science, and of knowledge, and pupils in and out of college, for pure omniscience or thirst. In crowds surround the wondrous teacher. He is your only brilliant preacher. He, like St. Peter, wields the keys, and opens hell's or heaven's gate at ease. But other doctors' fame has faded. Before the brilliancy of his, even Faustus' name is overshaded. The great inventor he only is. Fair sir, forgive me, if I may, your dictum venture to gainsay. Trust me, 'tis quite the other way. The doctor would such praises spurn, for he is modest to a flaw. To Faustus he looks up with awe, and may indeed he said to burn for that distinguished man's return, whose absence, ever since he went, has caused some sore bewilderment. This room, and everything that's in it, awaits its former master, just as when he left it, even in the dust. I scarcely dare set foot within it. What must that astral hour be? What? The walls, methinks, have somehow parted, the doorpost sprung, the ring bolt started, else in here you had never got. Well then, your master, where is he? Bring me to him, or him to me. His orders strict, to let none enter. I scarcely know if I may venture on his stupendous task intent. For months he has been pent within his room in strict seclusion, and will not brook the least intrusion. The meekest of all learned men, he looks like a demon in his den, begrimed from ears to nose, his eyes with blowing up the furnace red. So day and night his tongues he plies, and never thinks to go to bed. Refused to me admittance? Why? The very man his ends to forward, I. Mephistopheles sits down with a very solemn air. Scarce seated at my post when, hark, oh rare! A visitor comes clattering up the stair, but this time he is of the latest school, not to be bound by dogma or by rule. Gate and doors wide open cast, good! So we may hope at last that the living man no more grubs in dust as heretofore like a dead man, moping, sighing, and, though living, truly dying. This old fabric, roof and wall, bends and totters to its fall. Scarce, if soon we do not make us, crash and wreck will overtake us. I, though not a man to flinch, go no farther, not an inch. Was it not here? It was, I know, that I, so many years ago, a freshman came in deep concern, and full of foolish fears to learn, and in these greybeards did confide, by their cold morsels edified. Out of their musty volumes old, all sorts of lies they did unfold, believing not the things they knew, wasting their own lives and mine too. How? In yon cell there's one, I'm sure, still sitting in the clear obscure. Clear obscure? Expedition 33? How odd! Yes, in the very ground, turned up with a fur of dingy brown, in look or garb no sort of change, just as I left him. This is strange. Then, with an awe profound, I scanned him, because I did not understand him. Today he'll find I'm up to trap. Here goes. So now look out, old chap. Old gentleman, if Lithe's muddy tide have not overflowed your bald skewed dropping pate, hear an old scholar see with grateful pride, from academic thrall emancipate. You are the same as then in every feature, but I am quite another creature. I'm glad you've answered to my bell. Even then your merits I could see. As is the chrysalis one can foretell, the brilliant butterfly to be. In collar laced and curls well dressed, you then felt quite a childish zest. You never wore a pigtail, eh? A crop I see you wear today. You have a bold and dashing air. Pray, don't too hard upon me bear. Old gentleman, this place may be the same, but things have not been at a stop. So your ambiguous phrases drop, or fly to all that sort of game. You once could trot to simple youth, it needed no great skill to do what now would puzzle more than you. If to the young one speaks unvarnished truth, their yellow beaks the freshest fool askew, but when, in course time and tide, they've learned it dearly through their hide, they fancy them, they found it at once, and so exclaim, our master was a dunce. A knave, perhaps. For which of them has grace to speak the plain truth plumply to our face? They treat us like good children, here caress, there threaten, laying out now more, now less. There is time to learn, but by your speech, you are, I see, yourself prepared to teach. Though many more moons and some few, profound experience doubtless has been gained by you. Experience? Psh! Mere dust and scum. Mind's the thing, mind free and growing, of what man's always known the sum, is not, confess, worth the knowing. I've long surmised I was a fool. Alas, it strikes me now, I am an utter ass. Delightful, there's some reason in you yet, the first old man of sense I've ever met. I sought for hidden golden store, and lit on mere cinder rubble everywhere. Your bald old pate is not, you'd best admit, worth more than yonder hollow skulls up there. How rude you are, you're not aware, friend, quite. I like how it says good-humoredly. Mephistopheles can take some sass, because he's the master of giving it just as well. In German, one must lie to be polite. Who has been throughout the dialogue rolling his chair near the proscenium to the pit. I'm choked up here, nor air not light I've got. You'll find me quarters amongst you, will you not? It's quite preposterous that men will try to cut a figure when their day's gone by. Man's life lives in his blood, and where, forsooth, does blood so course and pulsate as in youth? That's the thing, with glow and vigor rife, which out of its own life creates new life. They're all astir. There's something done in sped. The weak fall out, the stalwart go ahead. Whilst we have made one half the world our own, what have you done? Why, napped and mused alone, dreamed, pondered, planned, still planned, and that is all. Old age, a shivering ague, no more. Of whims and frosty fancies bred, when once his 30th year's o'er, a man is just as good as dead. 'Twere best yourself betimes to slay. Baccalares just told the devil to take his own life. This book is everything. Yaoi, foot fetish, harems, and toxic love. I don't think that's everything. However, that's certainly a lot of things. Because, like, what else did it have? It has, like, femboys. It has breeding. It has masquerades and, like, not seeing people. It has monster girls. It has, like, nereids. Like, it has a lot. It also has devils. It has devils. Oh, it has, is it a trope? Is it, like, a tag for, like, a love potion? To make you, like, infatuated with someone? It has monster girls? Yeah. Like Gorgon, like Medusa monster girls, not like... What's the one? What's the isekai? Monster Musume? Monster Musume? The one where all of the monsters are just like attractive women, but like half of their body is like a lamia. Darn, you need to check the previous lives. Okay, so there's not monster girls like attractive ladies. There's monster girls like a monster that happens to be a woman. It could be shub and I would take it. I don't know what that means. That is a tag. So I assume that like forced love or like infatuation, or that just be drugs. Because like a love potion is basically drugging someone, right? And that's why love potions are actually really messed up. Is because and I I've heard this talked about as an idea. I don't know if anyone has actually written it, but the idea of like a happily ever after romance that gets revealed that one of them used a love potion on the other one, and then the person, like, it follows the person who had the love potion used on them, and then they basically have to reconcile with like, my entire relationship with this person is built off of a lie, but like I still enjoy their company. But is that because we get along, or is that because I'm affected by the love potion? Am I by spell and enchantment in love with this person, or was that just the thing that got me initial attraction to them and then I did so anyway? And also, independent of that, they never told me. This is a betrayal by my partner. Ah, got it. Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about now. Maybe I need to read this book myself. You had me at Femboys and Monster Girls. Listen. The devil here has nothing more to say. Save thou my will, no devil can exist. The devil, though, some days your neck shall twist. Mephistopheles, you're so silly. This is youth's noblest calling and most fit. The world was not till I created it. Okay. Out of the ocean I evoked the sun. With me the moon began its course to run. To light my path the day its splendor wore. For me the earth her flowers and verdure bore. At my command on yonder primal night did all the stars pour forth their glorious light. Who but myself for your deliverance wrought from the harsh fetters of pedantic thought? I, with free soul, ecstatical and bright, walk in the radiance of my inward light, with fearless step and joy illumined, joy illumined, with fearless step and joy illumined, illumined, with fearless step and joy illumined mind. Before me brightness, darkness far behind. Yeah, that was like an anonymity. Anonymity. Because anonymous, I want to say anonymity. What? I had it like 10 seconds ago. Anonymity. Anonymity. Yeah. B, writing it out does not help. But like anonymous makes me want to say anonymity, but it's anonymity. Same thing with like illuminate. I want to say like illuminate, right? Illuminate. Ugh, I can't speak. Why do I read things? Why am I a writer when I can't read? Well, go in pride, original thy ways. Insight would make thee melancholy. What thou hast wisdom or of folly has not been often thought in bygone days. Yet, in good time, all will come safely round. A few more years this folly will have passed. Even where the must ferments beyond all bound, it yields a wind of some kind of last. To the younger occupants of the pit who do not applaud. You, to my words, are deaf and cold. Very well. Good boys like you in time will mend them. Reflect, the devil he is old. Then grow you old to comprehend him. Laboratory, after the fashion of the Middle Ages, a quantity of useless apparatus for fantastic purposes. It even has musk? That's like a tag? Is that like smelling people? I never understood that one. The bell rings as its clangor drear, the moldy walls with horror thrill. This dread suspense of hope and fear must soon be solved for good or ill. Joy, joy! The gloom begins to clear. Now is the file's core below, as with living coal aglow. Yeah, like a fine carbuncle, mark its flashes lightning through the dark. And now a light, pellicid, white. Oh, let me fail no more. Great heavens, a rustling at the door. Pray you don't alarm yourself. All right, all's right. Welcome, the stars my purpose aid. But not a word, breathe lightly, for a grand conception's consummation is at hand. What is afoot? A man is being made. We're back on breeding. A man! What a pair of amorous tools in the alembic there are sweating. Nay, heaven forbid, 'tis only fit for fools, that ancient method of begetting. Man said, be gone thought. I don't need none of that carnal exaltation. Yes, but not BO. It's like someone has a unique scent. Is that like an ABO thing? Is that like a pheromones thing? Because I that's not in my wheelhouse. I'm sorry. The tender point, which was life's source, that subtle, springing inward force, which to impress its image bent, did something take and something lent, and to its ends essayed to win both what was foreign, what akin, is now from its high honors thrust. If brutes this way may sate their lust, man with his mighty gifts henceforth I wise must have a source more high, more pure than this. It flashes, look, my hopes were not unfounded. I knew, and now the proof behold, that when from substance hundredfold, from every source in quarter singled, and all, for there's the art I hold, in suitable proportion mingled. Man's substance we had thus compounded, and in alembic then confounded, in proper combination we, the work in silence perfected should we see. Yes, yes, behold, the mask grows clearer, the demonstration nearer, nearer, what men call nature's mystery we dare, by mind to probe and analyze, and what she organized while ere we now contrive to crystallize. He that lives long learns much. As time goes by, the world can nothing new before him set. Already in my early travels, I of mortal crystallized not few have met. It flashes, mounts, the atoms blend. One moment, and we reach the end. A grand design, mere madness seems at first, but in the end with us will be the laughter, and thus a brain, which living though is nursed, shall breed a living thinker too hereafter. The glass rings piercingly and sweet. It clouds, it clears, all as it should be. Settling into the proportion meet, a comely mannequin I see. What can the world or can I wish for? No. The mystery lies unveiled within our reach. Just mark that sound and you will find it grow the perfect voice to most articulate speech. How goes it, daddy mine? It was no jest. Come, press me very gently to your breast, but not too hard, else will the crystal shatter. Remember, 'tis the law of matter, that with all the universe doth scarce suffice, for nature's creations grand, while things produced by art's device are bounded by space and well-enclosed demand. Ha, rogue, that's you, Sir Kinsman, is it? Thanks, most aptly have you timed your visit. Rare chance for us that brought you here, and whilst I exist, my task must briskly ply. I long to tackle my work, and you are just the man to see what to do. One word, just one, to screen my credit, pray, and save my reputation many a slight. With problems I am pelted every day, by young and old, which baffle me outright. For instance, nobody can comprehend how body and soul so exquisitely blend, sticking as close as they were never the part, yet every day embroiled in conflict tart. Then, stop! Ask rather, how it comes about that man and wife so constantly fall out? Such problems, friend, you will never see through. The little one wants work. Here's what to do. What's to be done? Yonder thy gifts employ. In sooth, thou art darling of a boy. Strange. It bounds out of Wagner's hands, hovers over Faust, and sheds a light over him. What a gorgeous garniture of dream, draped in the umbrage of a wood, a stream lucent as crystal. Women, oh, how fair, their limbs unrobing in the sunlit air, and the one who o'er them all asserts her place, supreme in beauty and supreme in grace, sprung of heroic, Olympian race. She dips her foot in the transparent tide, cooling the glow of her majestic frame, in waves that leap and sparkle up her side, in loving dalliance of the fragrant flame. But hark!
are rushing as a wings in flight, with plash and plundering mar the mirror bright. Her maidens fly in terror, she, their queen, gazes around her, smiling and serene, and with the thrill of pride and pleasure sees the foremost swan come fondling to her knees. Importunate, yet gentle, now at ease, with the coy beauty he despots and plays. But lo, at once a mist begins to rise, and veils in impenetrable haze the loveliest of all visions from my eyes.
More foot fetish, or is this just worship? What about this is foot fetish? I know a lot. I have been with a lot of freaks. That's fair. Hearing Arrow say "daddy" in that voice, "Daddy, would you prefer going for a little Victorian boy, Daddy, Daddy?"
Or would you prefer I call you Daddy?
No. Why does the homunculus have more riz than Faust? The homunculus is reading Faust's mind. The homunculus is reading his dream that he's currently going through. Oh my gosh, the homunculus talks so much. I chose the wrong voice for this. A very exquisite romance, I vow. Small, though thou art, a mighty fantast thou. I can see nothing.
I believe it. How should you, a creature of the northern clime, bred, made the frippery of priests and knights, have your eyes open to such glorious sights, but never are at home but where darkness and gloom infect the air. Grey stone walls, moss-grown, ugly groins, high-pointed archers, volutes callings. If here he wakes, 'twill ruin all. Dead on the spot he'd surely fall. Swans, naked beauties, woodland stream, these made up his prophetic dream. How should he ever reconcile himself to breathe in den so vile? Though, little caring where I be, I find it rather much for me, so hence with him.
Your wish shall be obeyed.
Command the warrior to fight, to dance and roundel laid the maid, and then their joy is at its height. This is, the thought is bright. The classical Walburgis knight, the very thing to nurse his bent. He'll there be in his element.
Of such a thing I never heard.
Oh, good. And was it probable you should? You only know romantic specters, but the genuine specters of a classic cut.
In what direction shall we ride? Antique companions, mind I can't abide.
Your pleasure grounds northwestward Satan lie, but south and eastward we tonight must hie. O'er a broad flat doth fair Penwest wind, be many an oozy bay, green woodlands through. The mountain cliffs close in the plain behind, and far up lies for solace old and new.
Out and away, no longer let me hear of slaves and tyrants waging conflict drear. They bore me. For one is scarcely done, when out of hand another is begun. And not a man of them can see that they only the game of Asmodeus play. For freedom's rights they battle, that's the cry, slaves murder slaves, or nearer truth I say I.
Oh, to their strife and wrangling leave mankind, each must protect himself as best he can. From boyhood up, so grows at last a man. The cure for him is what we have to find. If you've a panacea, prove it now. If not, give way. And leave the task to me. This is kinda killing my voice.
The bolts of heathendom, I must avow, defy my Brocken spells to find the key. These Greeks were never much good for much. Yet stay, they charm men's senses with external show. Their sins look bright and beautiful and gay. The Greeks certainly did have gay sins. Well, ours seem always dreary, dull, and slow. And now what else?
You used not to be shy. I think I've something I can tempt you by. What say you to a Thessalian witches, eh?
Thessalian witches? Good! A gentry these. I've been inquiring for this many a day. I have a notion, though, that my taste will not exactly please. Night after night, at least, with thee to stay. But we shall away. We shall see. Away!
The cloak once more, and in it wrap yon sleeping cavalier. 'Twill bear you both as it has done before. I go ahead, you by my light steer.
And I?
Why you? Stay here at home, and those researches you most momentous close. Thus the old parchments o'er and o'er. Collect the elements of life as they direct, then piece them warily, And look ye now, consider well what, and more the how. I o'er a slice of earth that while will high, and should I find the dot upon the I, well, why, this is your mighty enterprise will cap.
No cap?
The prize is more than worth the effort. Wealth, honor, renown, long life, unfailing health, knowledge withal, and virtue too, mayhap. Farewell!
Farewell. My heart is sad and sore, for much I feared I ne'er shall see thee more. Now for my Pinois. Now for penis. My small friend, I'm not ashamed to claim his aid. We in the long run all depend upon the creatures we have made. Okay, we are now in the classical Walpurgis Night. I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that when I was reading it. I'm like, it can't be that. Switch the voice, do the British voice. What would you prefer if I'm like, wait, what if I go back to where he calls you daddy? Would you like me to call you daddy in a small British voice? Wait, that's weird. That's weird. No. Where did it get awoken? How goes it, daddy mine? It was no jest. Come, press me very gently to your breast, but not too hard, else will the crystal shatter. Remember, 'tis the law of matter, that all the universe doth scarce suffice, for nature's procreation's grand, while things produced by art's device, a bounded space and well-enclosed demand. I took a scam call and came back to hearing something about feet, so Faust wanted to F the swan? No. The Greeks loved men, the Romans were well the Romans. Listen, the Greeks invented orgies. The Romans added women. I usually prefer being sultry, but I shake my head. Is the main river Thessaly region in northern Greece? Ah! Okay, it's been an hour and a half. We got through, what was this? We got through 6. Yeah, we got through 6 scenes. The classic Walpurgis Night is a really good endpoint. So we have 5 scenes left, and then we also have 3 and another. So 13. What the heck? What the heck? Gosh, how much is the Walpurgis Night? The Walpurgis Night is not that long. This one is longer. Okay. I think I just saved the Walpurgis Night for next time. I think I wrap up. You definitely got to rejoin the Discord today. Well, it's on my channel, so it's on the bio of the channel page. I'm gonna save the Walpurgis Night. I do kind of want to be done with Faust because my goal is to shift to a different story and read those different stories at the start of streams instead of having a dedicated reading stream. But who knows? I'm not gonna rush it. Yeah, I need to go eat. Actually, I ate before I started stream, so I'm fine. I had rice and chicken. Rush the Faust next week. Listen. If I... Yawn. I have 5 more chapters. Which, this is a long one. This is a long one. This is a fairly long one. This is a fairly long one. This is a pretty medium one. And then, like, how are we feeling here with the next one? So, like, this is a fairly long one. This is a long one. This is a long one. This is a fairly short one. This is a fairly short one. This is the long one. Okay, so we have a lot of long ones left. So I think it's probably going to take, like, at least 2 weeks. Yes, I need to hydrate. Thank you. Yeah, having a homunculus voice really kind of kills my throat. There was a brunch at the Best Arrow, and you know it because I ate the exact same thing. Listen, rice and chicken, like it was frozen chicken that I heated, but it was fresh rice. Yesterday I made stir fry. Yesterday I made stir fry. I just made some like soba noodles. I made a garlic sesame sauce that I threw in some baby bok choy, cut up carrots, and enoki mushrooms of all things. Or not enoki, oyster mushrooms. Because at the nearby farmer's market, which I've talked about before, when I moved here, I realized there was a farmer's market nearby. The issue is it's so inconvenient to get to. But it just so happened that my roommate's birthday was over the weekend. So we went out to a museum to celebrate their birthday. And we passed by the farmer's market. And we forgot that it was the same day as the farmer's market. So we were like, oh, let's grab some farmer's market stuff on our way back. So we got some mushrooms, we got some produce. It was really nice. Arrow cooks, Arrow eats. Yes. See, that's the thing. Like, I was like, listen, I've made stir fry before. I just don't know what you want. Cause like generally my roommate and I will cook for each other. I have multiple roommates, but one of whom I was with on the East Coast. So like we know each other and we've known each other for years. And like we usually eat together. So I was like, hey, I don't know what you want. And they're like, I just look up a recipe whenever I cook. So I was like, okay, I'll just look up a recipe. And we had everything. So it was super easy. Museums are fun. Was it the Cube Arrow or was it the Natural History? So I'm on California now. I've moved to the West Coast. So Natural History Museum is in the East Coast, as far as I'm aware. I'm not going to say what museum it was because it was a local museum and I don't want to dox myself, but Arrow's Brunch. A lot of long ones. Oh my, yeah. Talk about Ginger's breeding this man. Feast upon the supple grain, douses with sauce and spice. Your ancestors would weep at the opulence. Okay. What I did with my food, like, it was not that crazy. It was... All I did was I made some rice. Right. And then I added some like frozen bits of chicken, like chicken chunks. Basically like chicken nuggets, but not quite chicken nuggets, more like chunks of like breaded chicken breast. And then I just there's this like Japanese barbecue sauce, which is really good, that I found when I came out here. So I just used that. And usually I'll also add some scallions or green onions and sesame seeds. But today I was like, I'm running, like I need to get to stream on time. And I got to stream on time. I just didn't have the time for it. Salt was worth gold. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Because, well, salt was also worth gold, not just because of taste. Salt was worth gold because primarily preservation. If you had a cow that you slaughtered and you managed to sell off, I don't know, a third of it, you had 2/3 of a cow you needed to preserve. So you would cure it. You would salt it. You would make it jerky. You would smoke it. You would salt it. You would add methods of preserving it because you couldn't refrigerate it. So that's why salt in particular was so expensive, is because it was so integral. You would make salt pork with cows or with pigs. Salt pork was a huge part of the diet. You would have, I believe, unless I'm misremembering what salt pork is, you would have barrels that were just like filled with salt that you would just put meat like pork into, and then you would basically let it absorb salt and like let it just kind of like soak in salt effectively, and then you take it out and it would be preserved for, I want to say, months at a time. I might be wrong on that. Natural History Museum of Los Angeles County. Ah, understood. When I hear National History Museum, I think of like the Smithsonian, because East Coast. Man, I've been to the Met, the Metropolitan, like, not the Met, the MoMA, the Metropolitan something Museum of Arts, It was good. I like museums. My issue with museums is like there's so much time, because I'm that person, right? I'm that person who, when I'm in an area, even if I don't care about it, I will read every plaque. Right? Which is why I'm actually very glad that I went to the same museum that I went with my roommate prior with a friend. Right? So I've been to this museum before. But like one of the floors was shut off last time, and we didn't get to go through all of the place when I went with my friend. So we mostly just hit the same spots that I'd already seen with my friend prior, like a couple months ago. So I got the opportunity to look at a bunch of spots that I'd already seen before and basically like do another pass on some of this stuff. And it was really cool, right? I appreciated it. I liked it. But there's also other areas where I'm like, I didn't see this. I want to go back. Because I want to just sit there and read everything. Never enough time in museums. That's the thing. I just don't have time in my schedule to like devote multiple hours to a museum. However, what I really need to do is devote time at the start of every month when like the museum that I'm like a museum I'm thinking of. I don't know if multiple are, but at least one of them is. It's like free once a month at the start of the month. So I need to get in the habit of heading out and making that part of like my monthly routine, just to have one, a third space, second, because it's cool, and third, because I love taking real world stuff for world building. Like, I didn't realize how many different symbols there were for there's a Chinese section. And for Chinese history, it talked about how there were symbols for, I think it was fortune, happiness. It was like money and like wealth. Then there was happiness. Then there was blessing. And one other. And the whole idea is that there's different symbols associated with each of them. So like happiness, the bat was associated with happiness. So in a lot of wedding gifts, there would be two bats to indicate double happiness, two people's happiness coming together. And bat imagery was associated with that. A bat carrying the kanji, the symbol for happiness, was considered double happiness because bat is happy, happy is happy. Con people into taking you on dates to the museum. That's real. I mean, so that's the thing. I feel like a museum isn't a very good. So I feel movies are probably the worst date idea, right? Because you're not doing anything together. Yes, it's good if you're like not certain about the vibes and you want to see how it goes. However, you go and spend 3 hours with this person, 2 to 2.5 of those hours, you're not talking to each other, right? I feel like a 1 hour lunch date or dinner date is better than a 3 hour movie date. However, museums, I feel like museums and like art galleries also are not very good because you're expected to act with like decorum and etiquette. Decorum and etiquette. You're generally focused on the art pieces, not on each other. So you might talk about what it is, but you have to kind of talk in a hushed voice because you don't want to interrupt anyone else. You don't want to make a scene and yeah, it could be fun. I feel like a museum or an art gallery is better for a date if you're in an established relationship. Whereas if you're dating, if you're like dating around, if you're trying to find a partner, I feel like an aquarium is the same deal. Well, so, okay. Animals, I think change it because I think animals like an aquarium or a zoo change it because like, hey, if you love tigers, we can go to the tiger exhibit and go talk about tigers. And then we get to see cool tigers. And even if I don't care about tigers, tigers are cool. So that'd be fun. If you don't care about elephants, but I really want to go see the elephants, we can make time to go to the elephants. we can see elephants, we can talk about elephants, and then maybe if there's like a petting zoo section, we can pet something. Maybe if you really like reptiles, we can go in the reptile room. Like aquariums, zoos, these have more interactivity. And the vibes are like very different. In an art gallery or in a museum, you're expected to act like proper, at least to an extent. Even if it's like a public museum or it's like a not a highbrow art gallery or whatever, you're still expected to like broadly like be quiet, be respectful, which clearly you should always be respectful in public, but like more so, there's higher social expectations. Whereas in a zoo, that is much more of like a vibes. It's more like a fun thing, whereas a museum is seen as a higher brow thing. So I feel like a museum, the vibes are different. I do genuinely think an arcade, and maybe this is just because of me, maybe this is because like I don't really believe in love languages, but if I was to have a love language, it would be quality time. I am someone who spending time with me is very important to me, which is why I'm so honored and humbled every time like people come into chat, when people come on Discord server, whenever people like just spend time in the community and comment and like and like share, like that is all quality time for me, which makes me feel incredibly valued. So like an arcade date sounds so much fun. You go to an arcade, you spend like $20 to get, I don't know, like 20 plays. And you just go around playing a bunch of arcade games where you're just chatting, you're playing games. You see that you're the person you're dating is really good at racing games and you're really good at rail shooters. And then you find out that both of you suck at skee ball. So then you start like having skee ball competitions. Like that's cute. That's fun. Arcade dates are so much fun. There's an arcade by me where it is a retro arcade that has arcade stuff from like as early as like the 1870s. And it's entirely analog, or it's like mostly analog, where you have to pay by quarters for everything. And most stuff is like 25 cents. Like most stuff is you put a quarter in, you get to play. So I would love to go there and just spend $10, maybe even $5, just playing a bunch of like retro arcade games. That sounds like such a fun time. Yeah, 1870s. So when I say 1870s, I mean like it is a box that has like a mannequin doll in it. And back in the 1870s, you would put in 25 cents to have the doll like put on a little show. Right? Or it would be like one of those like flip books where it's like where it would like rapidly flip the pages to like show a little like you know, like when you draw something on like a bunch of post-it notes and you flip the post-it notes, or like on a multiple leaves of paper, like these were like just novelty little things back in like the 1870s. And then throughout the 1900s, you would get like there was like strongman contests. You would get like fortune tellers, like does anyone know the big one? The guy who is like kind of problematic because he's based on like the Middle Eastern stereotype of like a wise man. Is it like Zo something? Zoltar, thank you. Zoltar, like Zoltar precursors who you like ask a question to and they would give you some answer. There was multiple I saw, which were, it was a handle. Like it was a handle. And I think it was like that. So, and the idea was you would grab it with one and someone else would grab it and then you kiss. And then it was like a kiss counter. And it would say like how steamy your romance is by like, I think it would probably be like a pulse tracker or something, or like a heat detection. And the whole point is like, it's a novelty thing of like, oh, like, you're a 16-year-old and you go to the arcade with the honey that you picked up from your high school after class curriculum, and then you get dared to take the kiss counter together, like that kind of thing. And then there is there's multiple ones that were like palm reading. That reminds you of the Retro Game Museum in San Francisco. Yeah. Like this is the one that I was told about, and then I checked it out, and I didn't get a chance to like it's not close enough that I can just like go there, just on a whim. Like I could reasonably make a trip out to it, but like I would need other stuff to do than just go there for that. Like this is the retro one in San Francisco I'm talking about. But like it's not close enough that I can just like mosey on over, unfortunately. But yeah, so it's also got like Terminator Salvation. The sourdough bread factory is great. Yeah, so basically I had family over and we went to San Francisco and like went through a bunch of the San Francisco stuff. And like we saw the sourdough bread factory, and there is an albino crocodile that was a mascot of, I think, one of the schools, or it might have been a zoo that died recently. And then the sourdough bread factory had a albino sourdough crocodile, like life size, made and put on the window with like little candy cherries for eyeballs. And it was very cool to like walk by the store and see that. But Terminator Salvation is a game I have seen in every arcade and movie theater for the last 20 years. It's a rail shooter based on Terminator, and it's like, and if anyone doesn't know, if you don't know this, a rail shooter is a now pretty much defunct genre of game where you control like Duck Hunt. You just point at the screen and you shoot. You control cursor and you shoot. And generally, if it's an arcade, you have a gun that you point at a screen and you pull the trigger and then it fires at that spot. Where you will go from location to location, and then you'll just pause, and then enemies will pop out, usually hiding behind cover. They'll like peek out of cover to shoot at you, and you have to shoot them while you're just standing out in the open. And like it's a matter of speed and reflexes. There's still some of those over where I live. And the reason I say it's mostly defunct is because I don't think any like video games made nowadays are that. I think it's arcade games is basically the entire realm of them. And unfortunately, arcades are going the way of the dinosaur and have been for like 15 years. And I talked about this before on a different stream where it's like, I feel as though the peak of arcades was like the 90s. And then it started dropping down as home entertainment systems were like actively coming into the consumer market. And then like there was a bit of a boost in the late 2000s with the economic recession because arcades are pretty cheap. And then just in the 2010s, it just tanked, right? And then now we're at the point where they're basically dead. Honestly, like arcades going back up the way the market is going sounds pretty pog. Because if I can't afford a PS6 or an Xbox 7 or the new like Steam GameCube, like, but I can afford to spend like $20 a week on arcade games, that'd be good for socializing. That would be good for local businesses. That would just be fun. Although it would be kind of upsetting for anyone, basically just for Gen Z. Like late millennials too, a bit, but mostly for Gen Z. And maybe a little bit at the beginning of Gen Alpha, where they would be the only generation to miss out on arcades. Yeah, cheaper than anything else. Yeah, and that's why comics and arcades are so. I don't know if is the term poverty friendly. Like they're both friendly avenues of entertainment towards financially struggling families, because comics are very cheap, broadly speaking. And so you can be a fan of comics, and even if your family doesn't have more than even if your family doesn't have triple digits to spend on entertainment, you can pretty consistently catch up with your comics. Arcades, similarly, even if your family doesn't have a lot of money to spend on entertainment, if you get, say, $5 a week to spend on the arcade, depending on how good you are, you can make that last. A lot of arcade games are quarter eaters. They're meant to give you as much time as possible, only up until the point where you lose, then you need more quarters to continue. So there used to be a culture of being really good at a game, or games, but I believe it was mostly like one game per person, where you would spend 1 quarter and you would get hours of entertainment from it, because you're just so good at Street Fighter. You're just so good at Gauntlet. You're just so good at whatever the game might be. I remember going to the comic book shop and getting one when I was gooder as a treat. Gosh, you feel old. Yeah, there's a comic shop by me that I keep meaning to go to. Oh frick, there's a spot that I went to that was like a queer accoutrement store. I didn't go to, but some people I know did. And it's a store where it's just like it's basically stuff by queer people for queer people. It takes in from local communities and locally sources its stuff. And they have like a space in the back where like every week they put on events, and the people I know who went there were like, yeah, they like told me about it because I was asking about it, and like it would be fun to go. And I keep forgetting. I need a queer accoutrement store near me. I don't. Want to know why? Because I don't need to spend more money. Like, oh gosh. Someone on the last stream was very sweet. And I was like, hey, AMA, ask me anything. And their question was like, hey, what's bothering you? Like what's the thing that's weighing on you now? And they weren't asking for any particular reason. They were just like, they were asking me. And I'm like, well, the recent like current events aside, and like the files aside, it's just money, bro. Like, I got no cash. I need a queer community near me. See, that's different. Having a queer community space near you is different. I have a queer community space near me that's separate from the queer accoutrement store that I was going to for a while. And then I just kind of like, my schedule wasn't working out. It takes a long time to go there. I feel like I was connecting with a lot of people there, so I stopped going. But now I'm not going to third places, which I'm not gonna lie, I only learned about third places like a year or two ago. I hadn't heard the term before, but like third places being outside of your home and your school or work. What is like a third place you can go to for socializing, leisure, connection, community? And like arcades were that for a lot of people. The mall was that for a lot of people in the 2000s. But as like the 2010s progressed, that kind of got more up in the air where that might be. And then in the 2020s, post-COVID, that got killed. Like really killed. Cafes are a good example, but that's also like cafes are money gated. Libraries are a fantastic spot, but do you go to the library to talk to people, or do you go to the library to do your own thing? So like that is a third place, but that's also like, can you connect with people there? Community centers is a great way if you want a third place. A board game shop or a comic book shop, TTRPG space, fantastic. Give unto us the tale of thine those. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it has now been 2 hours. I didn't mean to yap after Faust. I could have just spent more time reading, but I always love yapping, particularly when folks in chat are responding. I'm going to wrap up, and I'm probably going to... I'm probably going to go immediately back into working on a TTRPG, Because ideally, I want to release a TT, like, I'm working on a short TTRPG that's just a 3-stat system where you play as an AI, and as an AI, you have rules and regulations that dictate what you can and can't do, separate from organic characters. And the whole point of the system is playing a character where you have rules dictating what you can and can't do, which I think will be fun. Yeah, so this is short, it's separate, it's not the evolution one. This is, I had the idea for it, I worked on it, and it's kind of like, was just a nice pivot from the evolution one. And then once I drop this, I'm going to go back to the evolution one. I'll have sat on the evolution one for a couple weeks. And the evolution one is just, I have a couple more things I want to write, and then I need to format it. And basically, I'm practicing formatting. I'm practicing finishing a project. I'm practicing on something I care less about. Right? So I will see all of you later. Stream on Twitch tomorrow. I'm going to finish up Ultra Kill, and then I'm probably going to grind through a bunch of like S ranking, and I'm going to do a bunch of secrets, and it's going to be very fun. Wednesday should be good. So Wednesday will be normal stream, TTRPGs, all of that. And then we should be doing Faust next Friday. Thank you so much for swinging by. Have a lovely day, evening, morning, night, whenever. If you were here in the chat, thank you so much. And if you weren't, thank you for watching the VOD. Otherwise, bye-bye.